Hello and welcome back to Uncle Venom's Books and Whiskey. I'm Ron Rutstein, also known as Uncle Venom. Today we are pairing Pinch, one of the finest blended Scotch whiskies, with Charles Dickens' Great Expectations. My fondness for Pinch goes back to a time well before I was of legal age to drink. It goes back to All in the Family, an episode in the mid-70s when Vic Tayback was a guest star. In this episode, he was down on his luck and he was a friend of Archie Bunker's, and he was going to visit Archie Bunker as he was being interviewed for a job where Archie Bunker worked, and they used to work together. And Archie, knowing that he was a fan of Pinch, but being cheap, found an empty bottle of Pinch and was filling it with cheap whiskey. I was intrigued by this for some reason, and when Vic Tayback came to visit his house and Archie Bunker brought out the bottle of Pinch, he was thrilled because he hadn't been able to afford Pinch in a while and was drinking cheap whiskey, and Archie Bunker poured him the whiskey and he just gagged on it and said, "Boy, I've been down on my luck for so long, this tastes like the crap that I've been drinking." And in fact, it was the crap that he'd been drinking. Pinch is an outstanding blended whiskey. It's not that expensive when you compare it to single malts. And I found out about 2 weeks ago, when I was planning this video, that you kind of have to be careful. A bottle of Pinch will run anywhere from, right now, $39 to $45, depending on where you buy it and if they have it in stock and if you have to order it. One of the local liquor stores that I know that stocks it, I pay $39 for it, but they are a little bit out of my way. So I stopped at another liquor store looking for it because it's not stocked in too many places. And they, I think, became enamored of the fact that it's 15 years old. And they placed it on the top shelf, which was hard to read, and had a price tag of $96. Don't pay $96 for it. It might be worth $96, but you can get it for a lot less. It's been around since 1893, and it is a blend of 15-year-old whiskeys. And it is an excellent, excellent blend. And for me, it's one of my go-tos because it's not that expensive. And if I'm just relaxing and reading, I enjoy it. It's got a nice nose, but it's not very strong. You're not getting anything terribly distinctive from it. Kind of maybe a nuttiness to it. Now, there's no smokiness to this whiskey. It's very smooth. A little bit of a sweetness to it. A little bit hard to describe. I quite like it as an excellent all-around whiskey. I will use this in cocktails. If I'm making myself a whiskey sour, which I like, I'll use the Pinch rather than a more expensive single malt. If I'm looking for something on the rocks, I'll use the Pinch. If I'm looking for something neat, I will often use the Pinch. I like the flavor of it. It is generally a go-to whiskey for me for a lot of reasons. If interesting tidbit, Pinch is probably the only whiskey that is named for the bottle that it's in. It is a unique bottle. The Dimple, it's called in the UK, Pinch here. Triangular shape, somewhat flat in the front, curved in more in the rear. Nice gripping. It is quite unique, and it's got the wire on the outside. Screw top. It's not. It is a unique bottle, but it's not expensively made. Regular plastic top, screw on. So, they're saving money by doing things like that, and you're not paying exorbitant fees at the liquor store. Anywhere you're using an inexpensive whiskey, pay a little more, get the pinch. I prefer it to something like a Chivas, which is a very popular blend. Same kind of price point, and I think it's got more of a full-bodied flavor that I find more enjoyable. So if you're looking for a full-bodied flavor that's not overly expensive but is quite enjoyable, Pinch is a good way to go. I paired this with Dickens' Great Expectations for a couple reasons. First of all, Great Expectations is on a lot of people's must-read books list. I don't know that I would put it as a must-reads book, but it's a fun book. If you're interested in 19th century literature or interested in getting into 19th century literature, this is very often a go-to book because it's an easy read. It's kind of a thriller. It's kind of a love story. It is famous as one of Dickens' most popular novels. There is no great moral story here, and it's got probably one of the most famous opening lines in classical literature. My father's name being Pirrip and my Christian name being Philip, my infant tongue could make of both names nothing longer than or more explicit than Pip. So I called myself Pip and came to be called Pip. This is kind of a fun novel as we follow the life of Pip as he is raised in a family in the country in the west of England, very poor, and at a given point he comes across an escaped prisoner and is in fear for his life. The prisoner leaves him and he is left alone. A little later on, there is a great house, and the famous Miss Havisham invites him to meet Estrella, with whom he, of course, falls in love. Miss Havisham famously was left at the altar on her wedding day and spends the rest of her life in her wedding dress in the house, waiting for her beloved to show up, and consequently hates men. She wants to take this out on Pip and raises Estrella to seduce a man, not in the modern sense, but merely to have him fall in love with her, and then to leave him with unrequited love, which is kind of what happens in the story, although Pip has a much richer life than Miss Havisham has, as he goes to London to seek his fortune with the aid of an unknown benefactor. He eventually does get to know who his benefactor is later on in the novel, and there's no great moral lesson other than the idea that we can become more than we were, which at the end of the story Pip is becoming more than he was. But there is one little bit of information that's parsed out a couple of times in the novel by one of the minor characters, and it's kind of interesting. One of the legal assistants to Pip's benefactor is telling him a couple of times about the benefits of portable property, which is the idea of like gold coins, maybe jewelry, things that can be kept with you or kept hidden for times when times get difficult or when legal authorities are searching for assets, things of that nature, things that you can keep so that when you maybe become destitute, you have little assets that can keep you afloat. And that's not necessarily bad advice for all of us. Have little bits of portable property. Great Expectations. Excellent novel, lots of fun. This particular edition is illustrated. It is from the Franklin Library, which I subscribed to when I was just a lad, 18 or 19. I have a whole bunch that have this little heirloom library sticker pasted in the front. I was paying about $20 a piece for these, and now I can find them for usually under $25 at a used bookstore. So they have not gained in value, though in my heart they are wonderful because they introduced me to the world of literature, one volume at a time. Great Expectations, a good introduction to Dickens. Pinch, a good introduction to whiskey if you're just new to whiskey. A good way to start. Thank you for joining us once again to At Uncle Venom's Books and Whiskey. Please remember to hit the like and subscribe button, and always remember to drink responsibly and read irresponsibly. Thank you very much.